Welcome to Blake Street Banter, and Jeff Wright has just been fired. Resigned, wherever you want to take it, but the writing is on the wall that Jeff Bridich is gone. Just smile. You just smile when you hear that word, those words, right?
Dude, it's so funny when you're at a higher level. Like if you're working at, I don't know, Taco Bell, somebody says, hey, you're not doing a good job, so you should probably leave. Yeah, you got fired, but, in Bridich, you can just say, do you want to resign? Or, yada, yada. By the way, here's your $100,000 paycheck. Have a nice day.
Yeah, I wonder, did he get paid out, like a buyout of his contract or anything?
Has to be. I mean, definitely.
Right, there's got to be something there, right?
I mean, yeah, he's going to make a nice penny out of it. So, I mean, bottom line, like, and I had conflict with this earlier, is a guy got fired from his job today.
But never asked for a man's job, right? We've been on record for saying that for days, years.
Correct.
Never called for a man's job.
Like, also, don't feel bad for him. Like, he's Harvard educated. He's gonna find something else to go do. So
laundry? Think he knows how to do laundry?
No, definitely not. Should he probably try to? Yeah, that would be like a nice undercover boss episode, I think.
Look on that on your next Fox channel.
I mean, dude's gonna be fine. It's so conflicting because I'm trying really hard not to trash him as a person because I don't know him as a person, right?
Right.
But he's made so many bad decisions and so on and so forth. So, I want to feel bad that he's fired, but at the same time, you make six figures, you're Harvard educated, you're in the sports network, which is notorious for being nepotism. It's all about who you know and not what you know. So I'm really curious about where he'll land next, if it's going to be another club or something like that. I don't know. And and this is the really interesting part, is Montfort has been so notorious about hiring internal yes men, right? And so Bridich has been with the Rockies for a long time. I don't know if clubs know him well enough or trust him well enough to bring him into the front office, right? So, what is he going to do after this?
I mean,
I know he'll do something. I mean, obviously he'll be successful and do things, but it's really interesting. I don't know what's going to happen.
But I mean, chalk it up to what you wrote in the reaction blog. Doesn't really matter. Don't really care. And like you said, it's not to him personal, but he's turned a fan base 180 degrees against the Colorado Rockies. He's made us question our faith, our fandom into this. He never did anything for me personally. Your job was to, make me happy as a fan. And I never felt like that. You constantly had me on the edge of my seat. When is Story leaving? You traded Nato for Anfiti. Too low, blah, blah, blah. And what have you done for me lately? Absolutely nothing. So the writing on the wall between the lines, let me rephrase that. The writing between the lines is he was asked by Montfort you're going to be fired. Do you want to save face? We can do a resignation letter and all that. Do you want that? Sure, whatever. But dude was definitely fired, not resigned. My biggest upset, I'm just mad about, is why now? Why 21 games into the season? Why at this point? Because the writing's been on the wall as soon as the Nato trades happened. He's not competent. He's not able to do anything. He's upset the entire fan base. Why wasn't it happening then? I mean, I have my own theories, but I want to hear yours first. Why now?
Yeah, I mean, that's the really interesting part. The Rockies started out pretty bad for the most part, and we've actually been good for the most, 6 or 7 last games, right? So
Mhm.
I don't understand why it's happening at this moment. Because it should have happened a lot sooner. And I mean, the expectations at this point are super low. So why not just write it out for the whole season? And one of the things that's really interesting that I'm thinking about now is the Trevor Story contract situation.
Yep, that was
So,
the first thing that came to my mind too.
so I'm thinking about what ownership talked about with Trevor Story, and
On that, did you see subtle? I don't know if it was on purpose or not, but did you see Ramiel Tapia's Instagram? Literally,
I have not. I have not seen Mucho Swagger's
he
Instagram story.
literally 30 minutes after the announcement, 40 minutes after the announcement, he posted a picture of his walk off, like hands up with the Mucho Swag dreads in the back and just like exciting, celebrating at the plate. But the timing of it is very interesting, just coming after the announcement of Bridich being let go. And so that makes me think about, was it just the underlying tone of the clubhouse, like JB is a cancer, like we've got to get rid of him? And did Monfort actually sit down with Trevor and have that conversation? I don't know. But I think there might be something to this contract. The players finally like putting their foot down, like, you can't keep alienating us. You can't keep alienating the fans. Like, something literally has to change, and this is what it has to be.
And dude, there's literally so much to this story that we don't know that would, that could happen, and so on and so forth. So
Right. There's so much. And that's kind of what's fun about it. But I'm I'm excited. Like, I'm happy, right? I'm happy, but you've only cut so much of the cake. I don't have a really good analogy for this. Like,
yeah, yeah.
you've cut the head off the chicken, but you still got to pluck the feathers type thing. The big problem might be Monfort. Like, is he the one to really blame for this? Like, he's still the one making the final decisions. He allowed Bridich to be there for 7 years and make this happen. And
Dude,
is it going to come
my
out that
only
Bridich is
hope,
the good guy?
my only hope is that Monfort has taken the John Elway approach where he says, like, I tried so hard to dip and dabble into the personnel and it hasn't worked out. So now I'm just gonna go back and let them do what they need to do, and that's it.
Right. And I also say that too, because did you see who Monfort put in charge now as the team president?
George?
Yeah, George Fiesel, who is notoriously, from what I've never heard of him in my entire life until today, who's in just notorious for being the right hand man, business ventures of Monfort. He is Dick's right hand man, like right there next to him. Every decision that needs to be made financially, Fiesel's in there. Again,
Well,
is
I
Monfort
mean,
still to
that's
blame?
fine. That's totally fine because that's what Monfort wants, is to do the business deals, right? He wants to make more money, blah, blah, blah. The square, McGregor Square, right?
Right.
So that makes sense, right?
But is it
But
okay? It makes sense. Like, it's Monfort's MO, but it doesn't give me solace, and it doesn't give me faith that shit's changing.
correct. And that's the piece that I wrote earlier, is that are can he hand over like the day-to-day operation to somebody that can actually evaluate talent
Yeah.
compared to somebody that's just going to do the business shit.
And that's what it looks like. And quite honestly, if that's how it sticks after the season 2021's done and after the interim GM's in, fuck. Because in the press release, it was like emphasized that he will work diligently with MLB to work with the 2020 All-Star game.
Yeah, and he's gonna oversee McGregor Square and where
But
you can buy popcorn for fucking $5 a fucking pop and yada yada
and
yada.
have fun with your family in a circular square.
Yeah, and buy a jersey for $200.
So Bridich being fired is fantastic, but there's still so much toxic energy happening around the clubhouse. It's there's a lot
Okay,
to
so
still unfold.
my question is, if you're Trevor Story, top free agent, shortstop, and Bridich just gets fired after, your boy Arenado gets shipped out and blah, blah, blah. How do you feel about that? Do you feel better? Do you feel worse?
I would have a sense of hope now because you finally are listening to us. You're finally showing that you care about what the players think and feel. So maybe this is a step in the right direction, Monfort. So I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. You're finally coming around, type thing.
Do you think like he's like kind of stewing around and he's thinking, we got McMahon, he's a nice piece. Got Tapia, he's a nice piece. Got Gray, our rotation's nice. I think I could win here.
I mean, you have to think about that. You have to think that. But it's what does the next guy do? What does the interim do?
Our bullpen contracts are pretty much off the books. So you could sign him.
They can definitely sign him, but why would he sign? What is Monfort going to do between now and July 31st that says, hey, Story, we're doing this? And that's having an interim, giving the interim okay to bring in somebody, not getting rid of others.
And that depends on Story's mindset. It's something that I've obviously alluded to many times. Like his competitiveness, like, is it going to overtake him? Or does he want to be someplace like he's going to be the X factor where he can be happy in life and be the X factor on the field, right?
Right. And dude wants to compete. You can tell that. You can see that from his.
He does, but he does the right thing. Like he doesn't.
We'll never hear from him.
Right, correct. But like somebody like Arenado, Tulowitzki, you would hear from them all the time. I want to win. I want to win. That's all I care about.
Right.
Win. I understand. Bro. I understand. But at the same time, like, do you want to be the guy? Because you can be the guy.
Because Chuck's out and it's definitely Story's team. Like it's, I mean,
correct.
Chuck
wants to be the guy. He's not being right now. He will be later. But, the Story with that grand slam, like he looked pretty good.
Right. But we're focusing on Jeff Bridich being fired, resigning. And the biggest question with this, I think, is what you just said: is what does Story do now? Is this a last ditch effort by Dick to say, "Hey, Story, we want you to stick here, and this is everything I'm doing," or is it a last ditch effort? A Story, we're going to let you go. We're going to let Gray go. We're going to let all the good pieces go with somebody that is competent in bringing in talent. Because after I reviewed the books over the last 7 years, Jeff Bridich has done absolutely shit for me. So let's get somebody incompetent and get all I can. But I think it just comes down to money for Monfort.
Yes, absolutely. And there's so much shit that has gone on between now and then that like you don't really know what the motivation is. Like, okay, let's be real for a second. Monfort only cares about fucking money.
Yes.
He only cares about the business side of things and McGregor Square and making a buck off of the right field happy hour and blah blah blah. Like it's not about putting the product on the field, right? So my question is where does the conflict come where Bridich is having a problem? Because Bridich has made so many bad moves for the last 7 years. There's only one good move. That you can say that he's made in his entire career.
You got lucky with that one.
In his entire career. So I don't understand. And then now, we started off really bad. And then now you have so low expectations. And then now we're kind of like making a comeback and it's fun and blah, blah, blah. and then the news drops that it's better for him and his family to get away from the game. I don't understand. It doesn't make sense for me.
I'm gonna keep looking out for the athletic articles by Grok and seeing what inside information he has. But there's so many layers to this story, but the most fantastic layer is the frosting on the cake with Bridich being fired. And there's so much more that we can talk to, but I just want to end it with that, and we'll get into it in the pod later. But this is just an emergency broadcast system for you all. It's just, it happened, and is it because fans boycotted? Is it because people have been talking about nonsense? I really don't think so, because this game all the games have been sold out as much to max capacity. They're still selling merch. They're still doing Colorado Rockies money stuff and shit. They might even be made more.
Yeah, so it wasn't Monfort. Monfort wasn't saying, "Hey, you gotta go."
Right. It was. I don't know. It's
something with Bridich, and Bridich just saying, "Me and my family are moving to the West Coast" or some shit. I don't know.
Going back to Harvard, man. Run the coaching, be a catcher's coach out there.
Yeah, he's going to MIT, running the fucking GM program there.
So biggest question, let's end it with this. Biggest question here on out with front office. Our biggest storyline that we're watching. I'll let you think about it. For me, it's what actually went on behind the scenes. Like, how did the Monfort-Bridich relationship really end? Because Monfort has said he's never thought about firing Jeff Bridich 3 months ago, and now he is now. And what happened in those last 3 months? Why all of a sudden now that made that actually happen?
Yeah.
And I'm really curious of how that plays out. Hopefully Jeff finally talks to us. I don't know. But that's the story that I'm going to keep looking for articles and headlines for. Like, I want to know how that relationship soured so quickly.
Yeah, I have a lot of questions for that.
So much. You got anything you're watching for from this?
I mean, the thing is like, who's the good guy out of this? Is it Monfort or Bridich? Like, what if it's Bridich is like, "Hey, I want to make this move, and I want to do this, and I want to do this," and then Monfort's saying, "No, you can't do that. Like, I'm not giving you the money, I'm not giving you the support, and blah blah blah." Right?
Monfort is the one that stopped Brendan Rodgers being traded for JT Realmuto. That is on record. So he does have a play in ball player acquisitions and stuff.
Right. So, like, Bridich is a problem, definitely.
Yes.
But ownership is a huge problem.
Right.
So my hope is that ownership takes the John Elway approach, where they say, "I haven't done a good job, but I'm going to give myself a promotion and a pat on the back, and then also hire somebody that knows what the fuck they're doing, and then take a step back," which is totally fine. And that's what Monfort should do. And my worst fear is that Bridich was like kind of telling Monfort to do that, and then Monfort's like, "Nah,
yeah,
I like business, I like money, and go F yourself." Right. And Bridich said, "Bye."
Yeah.
But like, that's the worst case scenario. Like, we all wanted Bridich out, understood. But what if Monfort is like the big, gigantic, obvious problem that we know that he probably could be?
Yeah, and that's the thing that scares me with this. And we'll end it with that. Banter over. Bridich has been fired, resigned, whatever. We'll have more thoughts on our next pod, but we had to talk about that. There's so many things, like who comes in, who's replacing it. There should be an interim being announced soon. I don't know, all of the above. But today is still a good day, and that's okay.
Absolutely.
Go Rocks. Woo! Woo!